Welcome to our video, class, recipe, tutorial, demo, excuse for me to make something delicious. I'm so excited that you're here, and I have no idea why my voice is sounds like a chain smoker, but here we are. I'm so excited that you guys are here, and even if you just come and watch the replay, then I'm so excited to show you this recipe because it's delicious. It is a real food dessert that's good enough to eat for breakfast. Now, I say that, and keep in mind that I'm the kind of person who will eat chocolate cake for breakfast, so like the lines are a little blurry here, but even if you are not the person who eats chocolate for breakfast, you probably still feel good about this because this is a real food dessert that is made with oats and some kind of fat, so like butter or coconut oil and maple syrup and fruit and salt and lemon juice, and I think that's it. So it's basically like oatmeal, right? So I'm going to show you how we make it, and if you have any questions throughout the process, just drop it in the comments below. Meanwhile, I would love it if you commented with where you are watching from. It's always encouraging to me, and then let me know what dessert you've made recently. We're going to start with an apron, because this is a nice shirt, and I change my clothes multiple times a day because I cannot keep a shirt clean all day unless I'm wearing an apron. It's a little bit of a problem, like a 7-year-old boy. Alright, this is mix in the pan fruit and oat bars. And when I say fruit, I mean you can use like any fruit that you have laying around. You can use apples, pears, anything that would taste good in a cobbler or something. I love hearing what you guys are all making. Thank you. That's very encouraging to me to see that on the screen. So it's like anything that will work in a cobbler. So pears, apples, berries, any kind of berry, mixed berries, that kind of thing will all work in this recipe. So the reason why I wanted to show it to you right now is that there are no weird ingredients, and it's very flexible, so you can use like whatever you can find. You probably already have the ingredients in your kitchen right now, and it is like budget friendly and allergy friendly, which it's very hard to find recipes that are both, that are also like a dessert and delicious and stuff like that. So this is gluten-free, it is dairy-free, it is egg-free, options, okay? So well, it's egg-free no matter what you do, that's fine. But gluten-free options, so if you have white flour and you're not gluten-free, then just use the white flour. But if you are gluten-free, then you can use your gluten-free flour. I'm going to show you how I make oat flour, so very, very flexible, even if you don't have gluten-free flour hanging around. It is dairy-free, optional, so butter tastes best. We all know this in our hearts anyway. Butter is delicious. But if you are dairy-free, you can still use your favorite dairy-free alternative. We've got coconut oil right here, like avocado oil is totally fine. You can also substitute, like if you are trying to avoid using lots of oils, you can substitute half of the oil called for in the recipe with applesauce. And then if you are like all oil free, you can use just applesauce or pumpkin puree in this. I would use applesauce because that will flavor everything just a little more mild flavor and something that'll probably go better with the berries. But keep in mind that it will taste like a fat-free dessert. So if you're okay with that, or you just have to be oil-free and you just want to have some dessert, please, then that's totally fine. But I just wanted to let you know that. All right, I have the pan right here. These are mix in the pan fruit and oat bars, meaning you can just mix everything right in this little pan. Don't forget to check for the recipe in the link of the recipe in the description of the video. There's a link in there, and you can go to the recipe and save it or pin it or however it is that you save your recipes. Okay, so I have melted 6 tablespoons of butter in here. I could have used coconut oil, I could have used applesauce, which is in my fridge, I could have used that, but this is what I had, and so I'm going to use butter this time. And then the next thing that we're going to need I just pop this in the microwave. If you're going to microwave your pan, just make sure that it is microwavable. You can also pop the butter into your pan, like pop it in the pan and then pop that in the oven while the oven is preheating, and it will melt this. But then just keep in mind while you're mixing all the rest of the ingredients in this pan that the pan's gonna be hot because it was just in the oven. So just do whatever works for you, okay? And I'm gonna show you how I make oat flour. So you can use whole wheat flour, you can use white flour, you can use almond flour, and we actually have all of those things in our kitchen, but I just wanted to show you this handy little trick. When we were gluten-free and on a really tight budget, then we had to find all kinds of ways to make our baked goods in a budget-friendly way. And we actually almost never bought gluten-free flour mix because it was really expensive, and I could almost always find different ways around it. So for example, making your own oat flour, which is easy if you have a food processor, so just a regular food processor, nothing fancy. If you have, like, this is a NutriBullet, and we've got a dry blade here. Normally they have 4, but we just got the NutriBullet, and it came with a dry blade, which is great because then we can use it to grind almonds for almond flour, or flaxseed to grind, to get ground flaxseed to add to things. Also good for oats. If you have a coffee grinder, that works too. I used that for a long time actually because you can get them for like 10 bucks. And if you only need like a little bit, obviously it's not good if you're using like cups and cups of oats, but if you only need it to grind like a little bit of oats for a recipe like this that just uses, I think it's a 1/4 cup. Let me check my recipe. I don't have it memorized, but I have made it many, many times. Okay, it's 1 1/4 cups, so that's going to be a little fun. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and do that. This is this size cup, so we can totally fit 1 1/4 cups worth in here. And it's going to get super loud when I turn it on, but I want to show you the difference. So we've got regular oats here. Just going to pop it in here, and it's going to get loud now. Not too painful, right? So hopefully you guys can still hear me. I don't know how loud noises and then suddenly being quiet translates to through live video and through the phone and stuff. But here's the flour. Whoa, lighting is crazy. Okay, here's the flour. You can see it's very floury, okay? It's going to be a little coarser than regular flour, and then keep in mind if you use a gluten-free flour or an oat flour or almond flour, it will be more crumbly than if you used regular white flour. So one of the ways that you can do this is that after you bake the oats, cool them completely and then refrigerate them overnight, and that will help prevent some of the crumbliness. But honestly, these are so good that it doesn't matter to me that they're crumbly. I'll just scoop it with a spoon. I don't even care. Alright, so this is probably 1 1/4 cups. And we're going to put the oats, the flour, the maple syrup, and the salt in the pan right here. Okay, so let's measure this out. I only had my 1/2 cup measuring cup clean. And you can see right now I'm not being super particular about the measurements. Obviously, if you follow the recipe to a T, it will turn out even better. But I think you guys all, at this point, hopefully you know how I feel about following recipes perfectly. If I was making it like special for company or something like that, then I might try to be a little more careful. But the reality is that my family just, they don't mind if things are a little bit imperfect. And if I'm going to make real food for my family all the time and be cooking from scratch a lot, then I can't be stressing out about every little thing, or I'm just going to give up. It's just not going to work. Salt. 1/4 teaspoon salt. So we've got that. And then maple syrup. So this is a 1/4 cup of maple syrup. And if you don't have maple syrup, you can use honey. So you would just use a 1/4 cup of honey. Or you can use 1/2 cup of whatever your preferred granulated sweetener is. So that could be sugar, it could be brown sugar, it can be like sucanut or turbinado, which are kind of the more natural, like raw sugars. And if you have like monk fruit, I know a lot of people are getting into monk fruit right now. You can totally try monk fruit. I haven't tried it because I don't have monk fruit right now, but if I had monk fruit, I wouldn't hesitate to add it to this recipe because I think it would work just fine. Alright, mix these all up. One thing to keep in mind is that if you are grinding the grains like fresh, like we did with the oat flour, there's a lot more air in there than oat flour or regular flour from a bag. There's going to be a lot of air in here because it was just like whirred around really fast and it's all like light and fluffy. It's like sifted flour. So this is a little wetter than I would like it. So I'm just going to dump the rest of the flour in there and call it good. The great thing is because this is made with so much butter, then we don't need to worry about greasing the pan. But if you're going to do the oil-free method and use applesauce, I would 100% grease the pan. In fact, at that point, I wouldn't even call this mix in the pan. Stir them all together in a bowl. Make sure the pan is really well greased, and then dump it in, just like a regular recipe. But all right, so we're gonna take like half of this and press it into the bottom of the pan. And you can see I've got this glob over here. I'm just saving it, okay? So that's its own thing over there. And then we're gonna add the fruit. You can use frozen fruit or you can use regular fruit, like non-frozen fresh fruit, and you want about 2 cups. In the recipe, I call for mixing these together with some cornstarch or tapioca starch or some more flour, because that just helps soak up the juices a little bit and makes them less runny. But honestly, I'm okay with it being the way that it is, and I wanted to show you guys that if you happen to not have tapioca starch or cornstarch, because you're not going to go to the grocery store and get that kind of thing, or you ran out or whatever, or that's just not something that you keep on hand, it's okay to just use what you have. So we've got our blueberries. Let me just double check the recipe, make sure I'm telling you guys the right stuff. Yeah, okay. And then 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. And I'm just eyeballing it, as you can see. And I'm just going to sprinkle it into the berries. Ideally, you would like mix these up. But I just want to show you that it's okay if it's not perfect. Okay, there we go. See, I'm mixing them up. It's fine. Alright, now we're going to take this guy, and this is where it gets a little messy. Got a little hole right there. So I'm getting my hands a little messy now. And I'm just going to do this number across the whole thing. And you can opt for making the crust on the bottom a little thinner so that the crust on the top is thicker. I made the crust on the bottom a little thicker this time, so the crust on the bottom, or this crust up here, is going to be a lot thinner, and that's okay because I'm just going to eat these straight out of the pan, honestly. So I could also like grab some of the crust down here, patch it together, and then throw that in there. Here we go. So delicious, and hopefully you saw like how flexible it can be. And then you just take this and you bake it in the oven, and then if you don't want it to be crumbly, you let it cool completely and you let it refrigerate overnight. But if you're like the rest of us, then you can't resist it and you just eat it with a spoon, and it's okay that it's crumbly. So that's how you make mix in the pan fruit and oat bars. Here we go. And I hope that this recipe kind of gave you some ideas. I hope that it helped maybe give you some like budget-friendly but allergy-friendly ideas for making dessert or breakfast, or helped you get out of a rut with the whole cooking thing, because it's made with just ingredients that you can probably find in your kitchen already, and it's flexible for a lot of different diets and all that stuff. So let me know if you make this recipe, and I would love to see pictures if you take pictures. It's so much fun to see other people's versions of the recipes and how they really made it their own and how they're making it work for them in their kitchen. Y'all have a good day. Thank you for joining me, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.